Here we are at the Kenansville School. It's called sundown, and the gate is closed, but it's not even locked, which is really nice of them. Anyway, this is the memorial. Kenansville School. This building was constructed in 1917 on 5 acres of land with $6,000 donated from the estate of Mrs. Mary Lily Keenan Flagler, Bingham. You know that Flagler, she was tied into Henry Flagler, wife of Henry Flagler, the owner and promoter of the Florida East Coast Railroad. Kenansville School is the oldest known public school building in Osceola County. The two-story masonry vernacular brick building of late 19th, early 20th century design was erected by A.J. McDonough, architect and Track and Nash contractor. From 1917 to early 1920, the school housed grades 1 through 12 with as many as 100 students and 5 teachers. By 1922, only 29 students were enrolled in grades 1 through 6 and were taught by 1 teacher. The school closed in 1962 and sat empty for 30 years. In 1992, it reopened, serving students from pre-K to 2nd grade and saving the younger children the 35-mile bus ride to St. Cloud. In 2003, the school closed its doors permanently. And in 2005, the school was deeded to the Kenansville Community Association with the help of the School Board of Osceola County. Right, and I have had some reports of hauntings at this location, and believe it or not, in 1911, the community teacher was a Jeanette Hodges, who taught children from 6 families that lived here. You know, this was very sparsely populated back then. And she lived in the homes of one of them, the Baisdens, who also had the post office in their home. Like that post office right there. That was moved over here from their homestead site. Now, like I said, you know, Henry Flagler, he basically donated the land and gave the $6,000 to build the schoolhouse. Okay, and it even has apparently there was an before they built this here, there was an old wooden house. I mean, an old wooden schoolhouse here. Okay, and of course, in reality, that money came from his wife because it came from the estates of Lily Flagler Bingham. Okay, and it was what's called a rural school, which means that basically from the areas that's sparsely populated because it's so rural, and this is where you would have students of all the ages that you would think, well, they're all in this one school. Yeah, because this is this was the way they would get education for all the families that lived out here. And like I said, it went all the way through high school. Out of this one schoolyard, they had grades all the way up to high school. And basically they divvied it up, in other words, there was none of that switching. The bell goes and you switch to another classroom. And at one point it was the oldest remaining functioning school in Osceola County. Okay, which I think is really, really neat. Okay, and it's sundown here, and I'm not really supposed to be here, but I can't help it. Okay, look at this. Post office purchased by Bud Adams Jr. In December of 1979, moved to the Adams Ranch office located in Fort Pierce. In December of 2005, Bud Adams donated the building back to the Kenansville Community Association. 1914, let me tell you something. These walls could talk. Can you imagine? I think, wow, this is a little structure. You know, a lot of interesting things happen in post offices, folks. Remember, that was when people would actually write letters versus emails and texting and all that other groovy stuff. Sometimes you wouldn't get replies for months, weeks, years. Okay, I think that's so interesting. As you could tell, yeah. Low windows. This is very pretty, very rustic. And there's the like your boxes that you would go in there. Okay, and this is the school. And this is another one that the walls could talk. Okay, because remember, you had here children all the way from grade school all the way to high school. And I'm going to take a look-see in there. Nope. Just see a lot of displays. Okay. They've kept it up very, very well. It's very well kept. Let me tell you something. whoever here in Kenansville, they even got the basketball courts back there ready to go. Wow. Oh yeah, by the way, they have an auditorium upstairs. They have an auditorium upstairs. And it's very quiet here. But I'll tell you what, let me tell you something. Whoever's in charge of upkeeping this building is doing a fantastic job, because it is in fantastic shape considering how old it is. And they've even got like a barbecue picnic area. Wow. Yeah. Well, it really wasn't. It was in use in reality until recently. You know, when I say recently, I mean in comparison to some of the older houses. And folks, you know what? I'm really getting this, what I call my Scooby-Doo moment. Because I just looked up right now at that second story window. It's kind of tall. And I sworn I saw somebody's face looking down at me. And since it was the bottom window pane, had to have been a child, a pretty small child up there. You see how it's got 3 panes, one on top of the other, all the way to the right? One at the bottom there? I saw a child's face looking down at me. Okay, and it was no reflection, by the way. Okay. Which, by the way, you know, a lot of times when people say, well, you know, things that happen at school and, you know, why would kids go back to school? You'd be surprised. You know what? Some kids are happy at school. You know, they have, you know, if they're in a dysfunctional or chaotic lifestyle at home, believe it or not, sometimes school is where they're happy, or they've got responsible, stable adults that are taking care of them. So yeah, they do sometimes come back to school. Most people think like, I wouldn't go there. Some kids, believe it or not, this might have been the only thing that they felt was stable in their life. And I guess these are the, well, they've got a, looks like some type of playing field out there, and these look like some additional classrooms that were added. Okay. And when you see that a lot of schools that now that they have these pre-manufactured buildings that are brought in, you know, when they're outgrowing the you know, where they're at. And yeah, wow. Yeah, they've got a lot of neat displays in there. Look at that. That's an old Singer sewing machine. Shoot, I wish I could have come back here in the daytime. I could kick myself for this. But I was in other places. What can I say? Let me tell you something. That wigged me out, believe it or not. That would look like that little kid's face looking at me from that. I'm telling you. And because of the height, that it was just at the very lowest pane, leads me to believe that was a little kid. I'm telling you, I took like a, I did like a, okay. All right. Yep. Yeah, the restoration project was part of the Kenansville Community Association. Let me tell you, hats off to them. They're doing a great job. So anyway, folks, there's my car parked out there ready to roll. Okay. But yes. Okay, this is a very interesting little site. And I don't have information, but I'm betting that this right here is a time capsule slated to be open in 2039. I wonder what they put in there. Okay, folks. Beautiful sunset. Okay, and I'm going to keep meandering up Canoe Road and see what else, what other kind of paranormal trouble I can get myself into. Now that I've seen a little kid at the school window. I got to research that. Believe it or not, even though it might not sound like it, I'm wigging out. I'm wigging out. Now I got to research that, because I need to know if anybody else has seen that. Let me tell you something. I'm pretty good at knowing what I see, and you know, distinguishing between reflections and things like that. And that was no reflection. That was no reflection. So anyway, guys, I'll see you in a bit.
Hi everybody, this is Marlene again from Miami Ghost Chronicles, Stories of the Supernatural. And you saw me going out there at about twilight at the Kenansville School, which, by the way, Kenansville is considered a ghost town here in Central Florida. Yeah, there's some people living out there, but it's, it's not what it used to be. But anyway, I wanted to follow up because, in truth, when I went out there, yeah, I'd heard it was like haunted generally, like, and I understand a lot of these places that are old and, well, this one, it's been restored. They do get a reputation of being haunted. So when I heard, oh, it's haunted, it's like, okay, it could be haunted, like whatever. It's been around for a while. I mean, it was built like around 1916, and it was used on and off, through all these years, basically because it would just pull in the kids from all the rural areas. And that's why they housed kids from different ages all the way through 12th grade. Basically, you had elementary, middle school, and high school under one roof, and then they would have a couple of teachers who would double up and teach the various grades and subjects, etc. But anyway, back in 2003, it's finally given over to the local government, and they're the ones that restored it. And you're going to see some of the slides there of what it looked like originally, and then before it got restored. And then there's, as a matter of fact, there's a picture there where it shows the kids out in front of the school. That was taken about middle of the 1930s. But anyway, what I wanted to follow up on was, once I saw that kid, I'm telling you, and even when I played it back, I realized I stopped almost in mid-sentence. I kept trying to go on because I was trying to do two things. Part of my brain was, I got to keep talking, and the other part of my brain is trying to digest the fact that I had seen what I thought I'd seen, which was what I did see, which was, that's a kid looking down at me. And the biggest surprise came when I came back and I started to research what were the actual hauntings that are attached to this building. Like I said, before I went there, it was like, yeah, it's haunted. And I was like, I took it with a grain of salt. If every place that I went to that supposedly was haunted, I took it, I didn't expect to see anything, is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, guess what? When I looked it up, I'm going to read to you. Somebody posted online that lives there. And thank God I was sitting down when I read this, because if not, I would have fallen down. And basically, this person, who I'm going to say his name is Zach, stated the following. The old schoolhouse in town is haunted. I know because I have lived here all my life and I pass by it at night a lot. If you look at the schoolhouse at night, you will see the shining of two eyes in the window at the top left of the school. We don't have any problems when the sun is up, but I would not know at night because we don't cross the fence line. As you walk or ride away from the school, sometimes you see something moving in the fog, which, by the way, of course, there was no fog. And incidentally, I went there at twilight, just sheer chance of timing of other filming I was doing throughout the town, and it just caught me there. But I wonder if that timing where it was getting dark had anything to do with me actually sighting this kid upstairs. And even though I saw it towards the back of the school, obviously it's the top floor, which he was talking about, which is where it's sighted. Now, I went ahead and I said, okay, let me see what else I can dig up on this. And not only are there little kids seen, it's black-eyed kids. All right. Like I said, the school's opened in 1916, it was closed down in 61, then reopened, and finally closed in 2003. Now, another information I found online was that nearby residents have recently claimed that they have seen black-eyed kids standing on the school roof late at night. It's been said that when local authorities come to investigate, they forget why they are there the moment they step onto the property. Many believe the strange children are telepathic and are controlling the minds of these officers. Oh, wow. Okay, as you could tell, I absolutely had no idea that this was what was reported happening there. And again, my timing where it was almost getting dark, and as you could tell when I spun around, you could tell that the sun was setting. Had anything to do with, much less with a child being seen at the top floor, and on top of a black-eyed children on the roof. Unfortunately, out there, like I said, it's a ghost town. The few people that live out there are really scattered, and their houses usually sit in the big of a huge acreage. So it's not like I could walk up and down to a neighbor's house and say, hey, have you seen anything unusual? Which if that would have been the layout of the town, I would have absolutely have done it. But I didn't have that option. So unfortunately, I couldn't interview anybody that lives there to ask them, is this true? Or what have you seen? What haven't you seen? But I will tell you, in my experience, when I walked up, I thought it was really unusual that you could just stroll in there. As you could tell, there's a break in the fence. Or you could go in there, which is what I did, and walk around. And I thought, wow, this is really great. This is like from the olden times when, they wouldn't lock up everything, especially a restored schoolhouse, which is why I was able to go around it. And now I'm wondering if that's the case. If this place has got such a reputation that they realize, hey, none of the locals are going to try to break in there and vandalize it or do anything to it, because this thing has got a reputation of being haunted. And as to who's the kid, like I said when I was filming there, despite what people think, a lot of kids do like school for whatever reason. And again, it could have been any kid there. For all intents and purposes, 1916, we're talking that this schoolhouse has been in use on and off for 100 years. So a lot of children have gone through these doors and left, and who knows what happened with them. I tried doing research in the area just to see if I could find anything regarding a child dying or any type of tragedy, and I couldn't. Again, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. In a lot of these small towns, especially if the community was really tight-knit, stuff like this sometimes was kept under wraps, and that was it. And unless you lived there, you never knew about it. And unfortunately, I don't know a local historian that covers this area anyway. So guys, I wanted to follow up and let you know what the bottom line was on what I experienced. And again, when I said I'm having a Scooby-Doo moment, I was not kidding. I've been doing this for a long time, and it really takes a lot for me to do a double take. That's exactly what I did when I looked up there, and I was trying to process. I was actually seeing the face of a kid looking down at me. So anyway, guys, I hope you liked this short video. Please subscribe to my channel, and thank you so much for coming around and taking part in these little excursions to Central Florida, which, by the way, if any of you guys see anything in any of the videos, I welcome any feedback you could give to me directly on either my website, Facebook, Twitter, or here on YouTube. Okay? Or even better, if any of you all have either first or second-hand knowledge of any hauntings attached to the Kenansville School, by all means, please contact me. I would love to hear what information you have. Take care. Bye-bye.